to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media. We hope you have enjoyed your day. Today we have coming to the microphone Dawn Lewis, who is an accomplished speaker, author, coach, and leader. Ms. Lewis has devoted much of her life and career to working with low-income women who face barriers to employment. She is co-founder and program director of Pivot, a community reentry program that breaks the cycle of incarceration and poverty for women and their families. And she is a contributing author to the book Women Inspiring Nations and was a panelist at the inaugural Women's Narrative Conference in Paris, France in 2019. So welcome, Dawn Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, welcome. You have been busy since the last time we talked.
Indeed, indeed.
Wow. So let's get caught up here.
Okay. So the organization that I co-founded and am the program director for was founded in October of 2017. And my role from the very beginning was coaching one of the young ladies who started it to help her figure out the vision for the program. And then I became an advisory board member and a workshop facilitator. And then I became a board member. And then I was contracted to actually put together the program design. And finally was hired when we had some money, because everything else was, volunteer basis up to that point, including the pilot program with the cohort. But once we got some money, I was able to be hired as the program director full time. So I'm really excited about the work we're doing with women in Baltimore City. Well, now even Maryland, because we originally started out doing cohorts quarterly in person. But then, of course, the pandemic hit earlier this year, so we had to reimagine our program, and we're doing virtual programming now, where we offer 3 tracks for women to engage our services, and we're really, really excited about how that's looking. And we've also been named a partner with the Department of Public Safety and Department of Corrections and Public Safety in Maryland, so that their parole and probation officers can refer their clients to us as well. So, yeah. Oh, and we just got a Department of Labor grant too, so we're getting federal money to do workforce development. So it's just a very exciting time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I'm telling you, this pandemic has brought along some great things, wouldn't you say?
Indeed. Although I think I and my colleagues are getting a little zoomed out because everything is virtual and in the Zoom space. So having to sit in front of the computer, for multiple hours at a time, it can be somewhat grueling, but the work is still very rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Everyone can agree to that. We're all getting zoomed out, but
yes, for
it's going to be a new disease pretty soon, or something. They'll have a name for it pretty soon.
Right.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more in depth about the women that you serve.
Mm-hmm.
So we serve women. Our primary constituency is women returning home from incarceration or otherwise justice involved. But we actually open our doors to any woman that's in need of support and assistance in taking herself to the next level, whatever that looks like for her. One of the things that's special, we call it our secret sauce for our program, is the fact that we work with each individual woman. So whatever the woman comes to, however the woman comes to us, and whatever problems that woman has individually, we find a way to support her in overcoming those challenges or figuring out what kind of career she wants, breaking barriers to getting employment and sustaining employment, getting her the mental health support that she needs, or the substance abuse treatment support that she needs. We are also getting ready to initiate a pivot housing program for women that need housing, transitional housing, which I'm really excited about. I've been putting that out in the universe for the last year or so, to be able to provide housing, because one of the challenges we have found with recruitment, particularly for women that are being released from jail or prison, is that a lot of times they don't really have a place to stay, and that is their priority. So our program, while it is wonderful, they can't focus on the demands of our program if they don't have that foundational safety and security piece locked down. And so I've been, pretty much jumping up and down about the fact that we need to provide some housing. And so we are on the verge of being able to do that within the next couple of months. So we're really excited about that. The other thing too is, in terms of employment, while we do have employer partners that are justice involved friendly, we also recognize that employment may not work for some people, particularly given what might be in their background. So we're also looking at ways to support entrepreneurship with the women, because many times they come with their own unique skills, and we want to help them leverage those skills, monetize those skills, so they can be self-sustaining for themselves and their families. So that's another initiative that we're working on. That one is going to take a little bit more long-term planning, but again, that's another one of those things that I've put out into the universe as the program director, and we've already gotten some response from the universe, because University of Maryland is working with us on some grant writing to implement a program that they've been working on, the School of Social Work. So we're hoping that we can get some funding, at least to do a pilot program and see what that looks like, and then expand from there.
Wonderful.
That is awesome.
Yeah, because of the population that you work with, people have a lot of myths that have been built up in their heads. Could you address that and debunk some of them, some of the worst ones?
Well, for us, the bottom line is a woman's past should not determine her future. And so a lot of times people make mistakes that are born out of, trauma. A lot of our, like 95% of the women that come to us have some form of trauma. And it usually happens very early in their life. Mm-hmm. And so they've been acting out in those ways that have made them make bad choices, bad decisions, and they paid a price for that. And of course, most of the women that we work with are women of color or Black women, and we know how the criminal justice system treats Black people in general, Black women specifically. And so, there's this notion that, once you make these mistakes, you can't come back from it. And we firmly believe, and we have success stories to prove our belief, that is not true. That women who are supported and nurtured and held accountable can be successful, will be successful, will be able to get their children back, will be able to reintegrate into the community, will become contributing members of society, will contribute to their community. So it's very possible, and people just need a chance. And like I said, we do have a couple of employer partners who offer those chances to our women, for which we are very grateful. We need more, however, that are willing to support our women and who are willing to give our women a chance to prove themselves, to prove that pivot worked for them and did work for them. And again, like I said, if not, then we are looking at ways to monetize the skills that they have to create a pivot collective of enterprises that, women do hair, they do nails, they cook, they sew, they draw, they make oils and bath soaps and stuff, you know what I mean? So any number of those things could be leveraged and monetized in a way that could be self-sustaining, potentially self-sustaining for a woman. So employment, entrepreneurship, whatever it looks like, we want to support the woman whose desire is to do one or the other, or maybe even both. There are a lot of us who have a 9 to 5, and then we have our little side hustle that we do too, right? So all of that is possible for the women of Pivot.
As you do this and work with the women who are coming out of incarceration, do you also have a side portion, or do you have another partner to work with the children of some of these women?
Well, speaking of that, yes, we are also in partnership with the University of Maryland, working on another grant to provide parenting classes on the inside that then transfer to the outside.
Awesome.
So yes, we are working on that as well.
Excellent. Very good.
Awesome. So if people want to support your organization, how do they do so?
They can visit our website, pivotprogram.org, and they can look for the volunteer with us link and just fill in the form.
Okay.
And we also have a donate button on that site as well.
Okay.
Don't forget to donate.
Yeah, because I was just
about to say, donate button.
What are some
Excellent.
of the biggest needs that you have right now?
Well, virtually it's kind of hard because when we were in person, we had a mentor program that allowed us to partner women with professional women in the community to help them overcome some of the challenges that they may have been facing as a result of their incarceration or being on probation or just trying to navigate the program. And also people that would volunteer to do mock interviews with us as we prepare the women for applying for jobs and the interviewing process. Computer skills, we could certainly use, some assistance with helping the women be able to navigate this technical world that we live in. A lot of women are used to using their phones, but the use of phones is not necessarily conducive to actually being able to complete a web-based application. Mm-hmm. There's room for mistakes and missing things. And so we were just provided with laptop computers that we can use so that women can use the actual computer to do some of that web-based application. But we need people to help assist it doing that, walking people, holding their hands through the online application process. Because, one of my best friends is an HR recruiter, and one of the things that she's constantly talking about is that people want to fill out the applications like they're texting. And, there's a lot of abbreviation that people are using in texting, and it's just not professional, know. And so while we do have a workforce development manager that works with our participants directly, it would be helpful if we had volunteers to actually, like I said, sit one-on-one with people as they, fill out some of these applications. So, so what did I say? So computer technology, the mock interviewing. When we are in person, two things that we do when we're in person, we have a community dinner on Monday evenings, and we serve lunch Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm not sure what that's going to look like moving forward in person, because the way we reimagine the program virtually is something that we think that we might translate into the real world, or do some kind of a hybrid with doing stuff in person as well as online. Mm-hmm. But those meals, particularly the dinner meal, is an opportunity for volunteers to meet our women and support them in a community setting. We had dinner, we had some activities that are community building activities, so that the participants and the volunteers can kind of get to know one another, and there's a bonding and an organic separation of who's going to mentor who kind of thing. We also could use volunteers in preparing meals for those lunches, and doing some of the shopping for those meals. I mean, there's any number of ways that volunteers could support our efforts, and also depends on what they want to do and the skills and things that they're bringing to the table. The other thing I would like to say too about the volunteers, and particularly the mentors, is that we are a anti-racist organization, and our values are grounded in anti-racism. And so we want whoever is volunteering for us to come with the same kind of lens in working with our population. And we're very particular about that, particularly I am, because I'm fiercely protective of the participants in the program for what you talked about earlier in terms of the stigma and the myths of women who have been incarcerated or have backgrounds. And so I just want to make sure that the women feel safe and secure in dealing with whatever volunteers that decide that they want to support them, because we don't need them to be re-traumatized because somebody is not sensitive to the work that we're doing.
Okay, I do have a question. You brought up something that's been running through my mind, because a lot of these women, you said in the beginning, have been traumatized at some point in their life. That's why initially and essentially why they finally found themselves inside of the justice system. Do you have something in place to work with women, the trauma aspect?
Absolutely. Our on-staff therapist is a trauma-informed therapist, and that's her skill set. She has a history of working with both men and women who are justice involved. But she really has taken to working with the women in our program, and she does individual counseling as well as group counseling. And that's extended to our alum as well. So people that have already gone through the program can always come back and take advantage of the weekly group therapy.
Okay, excellent. Because that is so important. I think as one of the things that probably has come up in this pandemic is that people are dealing with trauma because of the pandemic, but also it's bringing up trauma in the past. So we're talking about right now a hugely traumatized worldwide society. So trauma is major right now. And many times people are in denial, or they just don't recognize it, or they don't want to deal with it. So how much more so for someone who's been incarcerated, that trauma has been ignored, and because they're fighting to just maintain their sanity in prison. Now they're coming back out into the world, and they have this stigma attached, and they're coming out into a world that's traumatized from the pandemic. That's just major stuff to deal with. So they really do need our love and our support, and it has to be genuine love, not that kind of love that I'm do-gooding. It's not about do-gooding.
Oh no, we definitely have a heart for this. So we have a participant in our program right now who served 18 years for something that she did not do. And she had already experienced trauma before that, but then of course the incarceration was even more traumatic. And she has been very averse to individual therapy. And so we're trying to get her to at least start coming to the group therapy, because even if you just listen, there's something that you can get out of the group therapy. And then maybe the group therapy will give you, over a period of time, will give you the, the faith or the openness to want to address some of your own issues.
Yes, it's difficult.
You know what I mean? It's, like I said, some of the trauma that, it's not just one or two, it's like multiple traumas, starting at a very early age. A lot of, challenges in the family dynamic growing up, a lot of challenges around, sexual assault and domestic violence. And even that is, in terms of the pandemic, is critical too, because if people are having to stay in the house all the time, then they potentially are in danger, from a partner or husband or even wife, that could, be re-traumatizing them. So it's very important that therapy be, in my opinion, therapy be a part of any program that is working with women in general, and justice-involved women in particular.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Wow, you got a big heart, Miss Dawn.
Yes. Well, we do have, we hate to leave this topic because this topic is very close to my heart. But we do have a book to talk about.
Okay.
Because you are an author as well.
Yes.
So could you tell us a little bit about that?
So the Women Inspiring Nations book, I believe, was the first anthology that Dr. Cheryl Woods led, and my contribution was called Open to the Possibilities. And I guess the theme of the book is women talking about how they came to be working in their purpose. And so my story, Open to the Possibilities, basically just talks about, you know, how I grew up and some of the challenges that I faced that led me to the path that I'm on now. And there was two big stories that I talked about in my chapter, which was my addiction early in my career, where I had to get treatment and have been clean now for my drug of choice for 28 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so, but it was a transformational time for me when I got clean, and it just brought me closer to who I am spiritually, and that provided a foundation for me moving forward. I talked earlier in this conversation about putting stuff out in the universe and having certain things start to manifest as a result of that. And that's part of that spiritual grounding that happened with me when I got clean and started working on me from an emotional and spiritual perspective. The other thing that happened that put me on this path, and I just talked about this in our check-in our orientation yesterday, and that is I had a near-death experience in 2007 where I went into the hospital for what was supposed to be a routine procedure and ended up having very life-threatening complications over a period of about 4 months. And but that first complication was the life-threatening one, and I remember coming out of that thinking that God had spared me for a time. And the thing that I talked about yesterday in our orientation was, you know, God will throw a pebble at you, and if you ignore the pebble, he'll throw something a little bigger. So he's throwing a brick, you know, and if you're not paying attention and not leaning into that, the whole brick wall will fall on you, right? And yes. I remember Oprah Winfrey talked about it years ago in one of her programs, but that experience for me, that near-death experience with that what was supposed to be a routine procedure, having all these major complications, was the brick wall falling on me, right? Mm-hmm. And so what I came to believe out of that was that my purpose was to work with women. And while I had been doing that most of my career in a variety of different ways, in terms of, you know, where I was working and what I was doing in my work, it was more about women being drawn to me for whatever reason, and me having some wisdom that I could bestow upon them when they had problems or whatever, right? So that was kind of how I was, you know, moving through my professional life. But post the near-death experience, it was much more intentional. I rearranged my life. I was working for the federal government. I quit the job. I started working with the Baltimore Healthy Start, which was a women's program. I later moved and worked with the Caroline Center, which was another program. And during that time is when I met one of my other co-founders, who I was kind of helping her, coaching her around the vision for this program, and then came to be a co-founder and program director for Pivot. And having some control over the programming, and also facilitating some workshops as well, you know, is my lane. I mean, you know, the fact that I still have people calling me to this day talking about, Miss Dawn, you said so and so and such and such, and that thing came true, and I'm just so happy, or whatever the case may be. These women I'm touching one by one, and although I could stand to make a little more money, there's nothing more valuable than having someone whose life you touched come back to you and say, you did this to me and or for me. So,
excellent.
So I'm definitely working in my purpose.
Awesome.
Sure.
Absolutely. I recall I was also in the book with Dawn, the anthology, and that's how we met. And she's interviewed with us before on that topic. And I've been kind of following you since we met, and you've done some amazing things. And your purpose with working with women. When I met you, we talked about this. We talked about the same thing, and to see how things have grown for you and in your purpose is just amazing. And I just want to commend you for everything that you do, because unfortunately, the weaker people of the earth, a lot of people want to leave them behind. And it really takes a courageous person to stand up for those meek souls of the earth. That, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
We've all done something that we ain't proud of.
Yeah. If you lived long enough.
Indeed.
Yes, and to treat people as if that's the end of the world, or they're less than nothing, is just a horrible thing when everybody has made a mistake.
Yeah.
And going to continue to do so until you leave this earth.
Yeah.
And, being incarcerated is a traumatic experience, I'm sure. And going through whatever you went through prior to getting incarcerated, on top of it's just a ball of trauma.
Yeah.
And you need people that are going to be able to understand that and have the patience and the love to be able to help you through it. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Love
So
it.
can I just add one more thing too, because this is really important to me. So, I talked about my substance abuse issues and how much clean time I have now. But let me just say, when I got clean in Washington D.C. and I was working for my father, and I ended up not working for him anymore, because of my addiction, because of my choices and things of that nature. And I was at a meeting, an NA meeting, and every meeting I went to, I talked about, I need a job, right? So this guy, talked to me about the fact that he might have an admin assistant position available in Baltimore. Would I be interested? And I said, of course, wherever I can get a job, yes, right? So long story short, I met this woman named Avis Ransom, who gave me my first job when I was 3 months clean.
Awesome.
This is a woman who was entrepreneurial herself, a Black woman who was in business with her husband, and she gave me a chance twice. That was the first time, right? And helped me get my own place, and helped to establish me in Baltimore City, right? And then, I wanted more. I wanted to achieve a little more. So I went out and got other jobs and everything. And, I was working for this financial services company that was really buttoned up, conservative, you know what I mean? And my supervisor was a white male who was literally giving me the blues. And I woke up one morning in tears, like just not wanting to go to work. And I think I would have been there maybe 6 or 7 years. And I just called in. I was like, I'm not coming back, right? So I'm laying in the bed, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm going to do now. You know what I'm saying? And Avis called me out the clear blue sky. Like, wow. She just called me, to like check on me, and so then I start really boo-hooing, you know what I mean? Because, I'm not a person that, seeks help, right? when she called, it was like, a blessing. It was like God sent, seriously. And she was like, what's going on? How you doing? And so I just busted out crying and told her I just quit my job. I don't know what I'm going to do, and this, that, and the other. And she was like, oh, I got something for you to do. And I started working with her again. And I worked with her again for 2 years, right? And she encouraged me to buy my house that I'm still in right now. I've been in my house now since 1998. And I recently lost her this year during the pandemic. She didn't die from COVID. She died from cancer that she had been struggling with for a long time. But as painful as it was to lose her, I was grateful to have had the opportunity this year, before she died, to visit her in her home and tell her how much she meant to me and how much she did for me. For her to be able to hear that from me and for me to be able to say it to her was a blessing when I lost her. So yes. I need to share that because that's another Black woman helping a Black woman when she didn't have to.
Yes.
Right? She didn't have to. But she stepped out on faith, thought that I deserved the chance and gave me that chance. And continued to be my friend and mentor and was able to give me another chance. So that is the story of my life, basically, which is why, I decided after my near-death experience to lean into what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you so much for honoring her in that way.
Thank you. Because, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. To help each other. And there's nothing on the other side of that, really. What I'm saying, if you become successful and somebody helps you, then it is your duty to help somebody else. Period. Yeah. So again, Dawn, we have touched our hearts once again.
Yes.
Thank you.
So how can people support your organization? Give us all of your information.
So, like I said, the website is pivotprogram.org. Our Facebook is, I think it's Pivot Be More for Facebook. And I think it's the same thing for IG, for Instagram. But it's better to go to our website and then you can access our social media from our website because I'm not quite sure of Facebook and Instagram tags. We have a young man that does our social media for us, and so I'm not always clear if the Baltimore comes before or after Pivot in those things. So visit our website. You can gain access to our social media.
Okay. Is that also where people can go to volunteer?
The website, indeed. Yeah.
Okay.
So visit the website and support, because at the end of the day, you give support, you get support. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again, Dawn, for.
Well, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to talk about what I love to do.
Yes.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you so much.
Definitely going to have you back again, and maybe what we can do going forward is talk to some of the women that have gone.
I would love that.
That would be nice.
I would love that. I already have some women in mind that could talk.
Okay,
sure. Excellent.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Very
that'll
fun.
be our next conversation.
Okay, so should I just use the link to make an appointment?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, well, I'll definitely do that. I'll talk to my partner and we'll go from there.
Okay, it sounds
Very
like
fun.
a plan.
Oh, thank you, Dawn.
My pleasure. Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me as well. I love talking about this. So
I can tell. We feel it.
Yes. We love that you love what you're doing. That's
I'm very
wonderful
about it. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's one more thing. I just want people to know that people deserve another chance.
Yes.
They deserve a chance.
We all
know what, the only difference between the women that you work with and the rest of us is that they have it's very public, their mistakes, and they've been stamped and numbered and categorized. The rest of us have made some pretty big mistakes too. It's just that nobody knows about them.
Exactly.
Not in such a public way.
Exactly.
So it's
in a way
not
that
about
keeps them held back. You know, because incarceration is very dehumanizing.
Mm-hmm.
And what Pivot seeks to do is help them see themselves as human beings again.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect note.
Absolutely.
Perfect note. Yes.
Thank
you.
Deserving of value and worth.
Yes, absolutely. And every human being has worth.
Mm-hmm.
Every human, for sure.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Dawn.
Appreciate you. Talk soon.
Okay.
Your business, through Just Minding My Business Media, has exposure on internet radio, major social media platforms, and now TV. Through Just Minding My Business, dynamic digital marketing platform. Don't listen to the word on the street. Hear it for yourself. Visit jmmb.assistercircle.org to learn how you can take your business, your vision, to the next level. Thank you to the amazing women of A Sister Circle Empowerment Network, ASCEN LLC, and our media partners. Voiceovers by RCH VoiceWorks, for when you want to be heard. Call 443-620-4115.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.